The first couple of years were really my father trying to go around the country and sell it to somebody. He went to the Washington International Association of Fire Chiefs Conference in Washington State, and on the train he was riding with a fire chief from Downers Grove, Illinois. And that fire chief said, "You make the nozzle and I'll buy it from you." And he wrote him a purchase order on the spot on the train. And Downers Grove was the very first nozzle we sold, serial number 1. And we have the order on the wall in the conference room along with the napkin it was invented on. And so we started making them in our basement. And a lot of people ask me about being second generation, but really in this business I'm first generation. Because from the very beginning my dad involved all of the family in the business. And I was making the first parts and assembling the first nozzles in the basement of the house. So we have 4 generations of firefighters represented. But what's unusual is my father's side was not firefighters. It's my mother's side that was additional firefighters. So he married the fire chief's daughter. Yeah. He would ride the train into Chicago when he was 16, 17 years old and ride Chicago fire trucks for the weekend, just for the weekend, and then come back to Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So I was driving the back of a ladder truck when I was 14 years old. Didn't have a driver's license, of course, but my dad's response was, "You don't have to have a driver's license for the back of the truck." And so I drove the back of the ladder truck to many fires and parades and so forth. So I was very much involved. Every weekend we spent at the firehouse in Gary. I can't even calculate how much of the whole success here and my success is a direct result of my dad's ability to teach and to teach me how to think, to teach me how to ask questions. I had an incredible mentor that's fundamental to the whole company. Well, we worked hand in hand building the fire department. He built this volunteer fire department in Gary from 1957 up till about 1972, and all these trucks were hand-me-downs, and so I worked with him on repairing those vehicles. And he had a thing that when I'd ask him a question that he thought I had the answer to, he would just say 10 seconds. And I had to count to 10 before he would give me an answer. And usually about 5 or 6, I'd come up with what it was I should have thought of to start with. Yeah, he was a tremendous mentor. I can't say enough about what he did for all of us. Well, there was never any doubt I was going to be involved in the fire service some, but there was a lot of doubt about the work. Because as I was going to college, the business was really fledgling and really struggling. And the whole reason I was getting my education was the chances of this thing surviving were quite small. And it really wasn't until about the year my dad passed away that we really felt like we were successful and we were going to make it, and that was '82. And that was the first year we had $1 million in sales, and we were finally feeling like, yeah, this thing actually may go. The momentum seemed to be building. It just was a feeling about momentum that we thought was good, and then all of a sudden he was gone. So it was a real scary time when you're feeling like you're going to make it, you lose the primary driver of the whole institution. Until I had a therapist help me with it, I was in a really bad way in terms of being so terrified I was going to let my dad down. I mean, nothing was worse than letting my dad down, and that I was a bit of a little crazy over the way I drove myself. And it wasn't until a therapist pointed out to me that, in a very unique way I might add, that my dad didn't care if I succeeded or not, he cared I did my best. And once it came down to just doing your best, it took a lot of pressure off, a lot of pressure off. It was a very, very important turning point in my life. You have to become an orchestra leader. I mean, the orchestra guy can't play the tuba and he can't play the violin, but he knows how the tuba and the violin should work together and how they should be intonated and brought up and down at the right times, and his job is to make them work together. And so I think that that's a very good analogy for what a leader of a business has to be. A professional golfer, when he does a good job, he's got only himself to look to, and you have to start getting your satisfaction from the accomplishments of others instead of the accomplishments of yourself. And this building, I mean, what an incredible team effort this has been. Just last night I was thinking about the ribbon cutting and the number of people that I have to say thanks to, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get it all on the paper or how I'm going to do it because the list is so long I don't even know where to start. I mean, there's just been so many people on this project have contributed their expertise to it and made it happen. It's been fantastic. It's been the most exciting year of my life. I think it's being willing to admit your mistakes and constantly being open to the next suggestion that might change the whole scope of things. It happens in our product designs all the time. We'll have an idea, somebody will say something that modifies the idea, and the product just gets better and better and better. So you don't do that with a statement, you don't do that with a code of conduct. You do that with everyday repeating the same behavior and modeling the behavior of, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And tell me I'm wrong and I'll appreciate it. And that whole management team has to have the attitude of, I have an idea, but I'm looking for a better idea. Can you help me get to a better idea? One of our coolest employees just pulled up. He's a spina bifida and wanted in the worst way to do machines, but everybody told him because he was in a wheelchair he couldn't do it. And we gave him a chance. We bought him a special wheelchair that lifts him up and angles him so he can get around the machines. And he's been an absolute inspiration to everybody here. I hope he's here the rest of his life. He's a really cool kid. He's from Hobart. There was one day that I was looking out the window in the engineering department and I saw him on the floor. And I was afraid he'd fallen out of his wheelchair. And I went running down there. And he was writhing around on the floor with a rag cleaning up underneath the machine. Because that's what the other guys do, is they get down on their hands and knees to clean up. And he wasn't about to have somebody else do something he couldn't do. So he was down there squirming away, cleaning up the floor. I said, are you using your clothes or are you using the rag? He goes, whatever gets the job done, I don't care. Yeah, he's a cool kid. Well, it's my home. I travel a lot and I just marvel at what this city has done, especially under John Costas the last 4 years. I think he is a tremendous leader. It just drives me crazy when I see him torn down in the media sometimes by people that don't know, because the progress we've made in the last 4 years is just phenomenal. And the infrastructure is what makes a city function, and he's focused on that and made huge improvements. I think the university has been a tremendous thing, and what I see happening with the university is them making efforts to become more ingrained in the community, open their doors to community involvement. The Arts Center, the new Union. I've been to more events at the Union in the last 6 months than I've been in all the years I've lived here, because they're making a conscious effort to use that as a facility to help the community. And I love, the engineers we get from the university. We have a lot of interns that come from VU. We've worked with professors from there from time to time on things we've needed help with. It's just a great town.